Good evening. It's good to be with you once again. I welcome you with all my heart. Never forget the purpose of why you're here. It is true that in the absolute reality, there is no purpose. The universe has no purpose for existing. You have no purpose for existing. But as long as you believe you are a body or a mind, then your purpose is to become no purpose. You spend your energy becoming nothing. But do not believe you're nothing when you haven't become nothing yet. Be honest with yourself. See where you're coming from by the way you react to life situations every day. This will tell you where you are at by the way you see yourself reacting to life's predicaments. Life will present to you many predicaments, and it's up to you to see these things in the right perspective. Never be frightened. Never believe anything is wrong. Always know, even though you believe you are a body, you are not alone. There is the pure awareness that is with you all the time, just awaiting your recognition, awaiting your understanding that you are not the body, that you are a spirit called the Atman, Brahman, absolute reality. This is who you really are. This is your real nature. You've heard me talk on many occasions on the subject of love, compassion, and humility. These three things are very important to understand. They have to be nurtured and developed. When you understand what love, compassion, and humility really are, at that time, you become a living embodiment of the truth. And the self will pull your ego into the heart center, and you will become liberated and free. When I speak to you of all these things, I'm referring to my own experiences. Therefore, do not take these things I say lightly, even though I tell you many times to not believe a word I say. It sounds like a contradiction, but it isn't. You are not to believe anything I say, yet you are to reflect and ponder on the things I say at the same time. Try to become a living embodiment of the highest truth. When I had my spiritual awakening, I was 14 years old. This body was sitting in a classroom taking a math test, and all of a sudden I felt myself expanding. I never left my body, which proves that the body never existed to begin with. I felt the body expanding, and a brilliant light began to come out of my heart. I happened to see this light in all directions. I had peripheral vision, and this light was really myself. It was not my body and the light. There were not two. There was this light that became brighter and brighter, the light of 1,000 suns. I thought I would be burnt to a crisp But alas, I wasn't. This brilliant light, of which I was both the center and the circumference, expanded throughout the universe. I was able to feel the planets, the stars, and the galaxies as myself. And this light shone so bright, yet it was beautiful. It was bliss, ineffable and indescribable. After a while, the light began to fade away, and there was no darkness. There was just a place between light and darkness, the place beyond the light. You can call it the void, but it wasn't just a void. It was this pure awareness I always talk about. I was aware that I am that I am. I was aware of the whole universe at the same time. There was no time. There was no space. There was just the I am. Then everything began to return to normal, so to speak. And I was able to feel and understand that all of the planets, the galaxies, the people, the trees, the flowers on this earth, everything, were myriads of energy. And I was in everything. I was the flower. I was the sky. I was the people. The I was everything. Everything was the I. The word I encompassed the whole universe. Now here's the point I'm trying to make. I felt a love, a compassion, a humility, all at the same time, that was truly indescribable. It wasn't a love that you're aware of. Think of something that you really love, someone that you really love with all your heart. Multiply this by a jillion, million, trillion, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. This particular love is like no thing that ever existed on this earth consciously. There is nothing you can compare it with. It is beyond duality, beyond concepts, beyond words and thoughts. And since the I, which I was all pervading, there was no other place for anything else to be. There was no room for anything because there was no space and no time. There was just the I am, ever-present, self-existent. The love of everything was the love of the self. This is why in Scripture it tells you to love your brother and your sister, to love everyone and everything under all circumstances. This love couldn't differentiate. It couldn't say, you're good, so I love you, or you're bad, so I don't love you. Everything was going on as myself. I realized I am the murderer. I am the saint. I am the so-called evil on this earth. I am the so-called goodness of this earth. Everything was the self, and it was all a game. All of the energy particles changed from one thing to another thing, but the love never changed. Another word for this love was compassion. There was this fabulous, fantastic compassion for everything. For everything was the self, the I am. There was no differentiation. There was not me and those things. There was only one expression, and that was consciousness. Of course, I didn't understand all these words at that time. There were no words like I'm talking about now. I'm trying my best to speak intelligently and use words to explain what happened. But you can't. All the games that people are playing and all the planets throughout the universe are really the self. It was all the self. And I realized that nothing else existed but the self. Yet all of these things, the multiplicities of planets, galaxies, people and animals, were really the self. Again, there are no words to describe this. I felt and knew that these multiplicities do not exist. Things do not exist. Only the self existed. Only consciousness, pure awareness. Yet, at the same time, creation came into existence, and there is no creation. We cannot understand this in human form. As long as we're thinking with our brains, it's incomprehensible. For how can they both be simultaneously creating each other? There was creation going on, and yet there was no creation at all. There was no creation taking place, and creation was taking place. It sounds like the thoughts of a madman, and yet it seemed normal. There was absolutely nothing strange about this at all. Being nothing and everything at the same time. So this great compassion was there. Since I was everything, the compassion was for everything. No thing was excluded, for the things were really the self. And then there was this fantastic humility. The love, compassion, and humility are all synonymous. I'm trying to break it down to make you understand, to an extent, what was going on. The humility was there, not to change anything. Everything was right, just the way it was. Planets were exploding. New planets were being born. Suns were evaporating. New suns were being born. From the suns, the planets came. And then life began on the planets. All this was taking place instantaneously at the same time, and yet nothing was taking place at all. Therefore, the humility is that everything was all right. There was nothing I had to change. There was nothing I had to correct. The people dying of cancer we're in the right place, where nobody dies and there is no cancer. Wars and man's inhumanity to man, we're all part of it. There cannot be a creation if there is not an opposite to good. In order to have a creation, there have to be opposites. There has to be the bad guy and the good guy. I was able to understand all these things. The next thing I remember is my teacher was shaking me. I was the only one left in the class. Everybody had gone. The bell had rung, and I had not even started the mathematics test. Of course, I got a great big 0. But those feelings and the understanding never left me. From that time on, my whole life changed. I was no longer interested in school. I was no longer interested in the friends I had. I won't go on any more than that for now, as far as that's concerned. The point I'm trying to make is this. If the end result of realization is love, compassion, and humility, what if we were able to develop these qualities now? Do you see what I'm getting at? If we are able to develop this love, this beautiful, joyous love for everything without exception, and we have a great compassion for everything without being judgmental. You can't have compassion for one thing and not for another thing. Then, of course, there's humility. Humility means we don't have to try to straighten things out, to get even, or to stick up for our rights, for there is no one really left to do that. If some of us were to work on those aspects, it would lift us up and make us free. This is something for you to think about. We have to learn to leave the world alone. We become so involved in politics, in family life, in work, and the rest of these things we're involved in, that we forget that we only have so many years left on this earth in the body. And what are we doing with all of the time we have? We're spending the time on things that do not really exist, things that make no sense. Imagine you're in a play in the theater and you're playing a role. You're playing a part. All the time you're aware that you're playing a part. You're not really that person. It's only a part you're playing. In the same way, you are now playing a part, but you have forgotten you're playing a part. You think your body, the way it looks, the way it appears, what it does, what it acquires, is real. And you put all your energy into the game of playing the part. This is indeed a waste of energy. If you'd only put your energy into finding the self that you really never lost. And you can do this by developing the qualities of love, compassion, and humility. This is another method you have to work on. As you're working on self-inquiry, work on the love. Work on compassion. Work on humility. Do not just practice self-inquiry for a while and then react negatively to the world and have your feelings hurt. Be yourself. Awaken from the dream. Refuse to play any longer? Look at yourself all day long. See the things that you do, the thoughts that you have, the feelings that you have. It makes no difference what situation you're going through. It makes no difference what's going on in your life. The only thing that matters is what's going on inside of you. Karmically, you are put on this earth as a body to go through karmic experiences. Therefore, the experiences you're going through are part of the Maya, the karma. Do not reflect on these things. This is important. You have to drop this. Leave it alone. If you only knew that nothing can ever happen to you, there never was a time when you were born. There will never be a time when you die. You have always lived. You are consciousness. You have always existed. Identify with your existence. Merge into the existence of nothingness. I tell you this again and again. Leave the world alone. Remember what I mean when I say to leave the world alone. I'm not saying that you should voluntarily, consciously make a plan of how you're going to leave the world alone. You'll not be able to live up to it. By leaving the world alone, I mean, entertain in your mind higher thoughts. Always have in the back of your mind, I am not the body. I am not the doer. I am not the mind. Feel this. Feel it deeply. Do not feel good or bad about it. Do not try to prolong your life. It's a waste of energy. What you call your life will take care of itself. It knows what to do better than you do. We're very limited in our understanding about the body or the affairs of the body. What's going on in the body? Do not try to do anything with your body. Your body will do whatever it came here to do. It knows what to do. Separate yourself from that. Of course, you may do this by inquiring, to whom does the body come? Who has this body? And remain in the silence. Many of us here this evening are making tremendous progress. I've been talking to many of you who are really getting there. Of course, I use all these terms loosely. There's nowhere to get. But I have to talk to you this way, to remind you to leave yourself alone. I know some of you may be in pain sometimes and you say, well, I want to live a life free of pain. Therefore, I have to do things to myself so I don't feel that pain. This is really a mistake. If you could only realize who has the pain, to whom does the pain come? I have the pain. Then who am I? If I have the pain, it means that the person who is thinking these things does not have the pain. For it is I that has the pain. You are free of pain, for you are not the I thought. Remember, the I we're talking about now is the thought. The I thought that has the pain and the experience of being born, the experience of dying, the experience of having problems. This is the I thought that has these things, not you. You have to vehemently make up your mind that the only thing that matters to you is to become free, liberated, and let go of all the other things that keep you bound. This is why you have to work with love, compassion, and humility. For if this is the end result of awakening, if you do this first, the awakening will come faster. Even while I'm talking to you, some of you are thinking about your body. You're thinking about the mind. You're thinking about your work. This is what keeps you back. Destroy the thoughts through self-inquiry. Become free. Do not fight. Do not fear. Observe, watch, look, but have no opinions for or against. Some people think if they act this way, they will not be able to function in the world. You will function. Always remember, there's an appearance of the body, and the body came here to do certain things, and it's going to do those things. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. Peace.